Hello friends. Been a little while since I've been here at the painting desk, but here we are. It's a glorious weekend. My friend Jared is off to Las Vegas Open to show off some toys that he's painted. And Mossy Moo's been an absolute pest in the other room. No, it's going well. Obviously went through and played a second Kingdom Death campaign. Wonderful experience, as it so often is. And what else has been happening? They've been playing some new games, which is exciting. Still have not yet got around to this game. And actually playing it with the level of intensity that I think it deserves. This plan's worked poorly, hasn't it? Yep. It's alright, we can recover it. Yeah, so this game looks really, really good. It looks like Aeon Trespass Odyssey and Dark Souls had a baby. Now, I'm not a person who's played much Dark Souls, or any really. I played the board game, that was it. I never played the computer game. Hey Sammy. So I don't really know much about the lore or anything, I just know the aesthetic. So the aesthetic is quite good. Let's up that a bit. So Kingdoms Forlorn has that same sort of aesthetic. So this guy's like a demon. Can't really see him. Anyway, we'll fix that in a moment. And Aeon Trespass, the game mechanics, the everything about it is this guy. Is this game. So yeah, I want to get into it, but I played Aeon Trespass quite recently, and in my first play of this, I felt like it was just a bit too similar to Aeon Trespass. So yeah, it made me what's the right word? It made me just sort of want to put it down for a bit and play something else. So that's what I did. But I can see there's a gem of a game in there, and I'm really keen to at some point get into it, but the question I'm having with myself right now is, when is that going to be? Because if it's a couple months' time, I think great, we'll have a crack. Yes, there's some disturbing sculpts in the game. Let me show some of this disturbing sculpts while we wait for that guy to dry. I'll zoom this out a bit. This guy's like a cool Medusa demon warrior guy. I like that one a lot. This one I think I showed off the other week, but I love this one. This guy is called the Puppet King. Gay Bruce Games Rides. And look at this, the hand up the top is like dancing him on a marionette, which I think is a really cool sculpt. Yeah. Puppet King's good. And then we've got two big old dragons. I don't know if I showed these off last time, but there's this big dragon, which I think this one's called a Panzer Dragon. So he's a fully armoured dragon. And then this one's called the Toad Dragon. He's cool. I'm looking forward to painting this guy. Blub, 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 blub. And then yeah, this little dude who I've got primed. You can't really see, but he's like a kind of tentacle head. Tentacle guy. I'm actually going to do him in red, so we're going to do that now. Wine red, I don't know. Alright. Yeah, Toadie's awesome. Yeah, so this is where I'm at with the game. I love the aesthetic, I love the models, and I've got a little expansion as well that has some more models that I haven't even really looked at. And the game looks like it will be a good game, but it feels, at this point in time, a little too similar to Aeon Trespass. So I like to have a little break. I don't like playing things too close together. But the second piece, which is not normally one that is relevant for me, but I lost the ability to enjoy reading rule books. I used to enjoy reading rule books. I used to find it fun, and now I really struggle with rule books. What I find I have to do is watch a video that teaches me how to play, and then after I've watched a video, I just stumble my way through, checking the rule book as I go. After that, once I've gotten a grasp on everything, that's when I like to go and read the rule book, because then I'm like following along what the rule book's saying. This has only been a recent phenomenon in the last couple of years, I think. Yeah, I've actually got no idea what is happening with this sculpt. I don't know anything about this character or why he looks the way that he does, but there you go. So yes, this is the situation I find myself in. I don't really want to spend much time reading the rulebook, but this game is of a decidedly complex nature, and so if I don't read the rulebook, I struggle with staying on top of everything that's happening. So what I've decided with this game is I'm going to put it on the shelf after I finish painting everything. I'm going to wait a few months for people to release how to play videos and some playthroughs that I can watch. Leave the Aeon Trespass experience to fade from my memory for a bit, and then I'll crack this out, fully painted, ready to go, ready to explore, and hopefully have a nice time with it. There is a possibility that that won't be the case, that I will still feel the same way, in which case I will probably look to sell my fully painted copy of this game. because there's so many games that come out every year, so many games that I want to try, that trying to force myself to enjoy something just feels a little silly. Even if it is one that I think I will enjoy in the long run. Hello, Match Fixer. And every year at this point in time for the last couple of years, we've had brand new Kingdom Death content come out. And if I have a choice between playing this, which has been a struggle, as I just discussed, or Kingdom Death, I'll play Kingdom Death. So that's where I'm finding myself with this game right now. I'll leave that. It's an interesting place to be in. And it's good, I think, for me to... Hey, Tui. It's good for me to talk about that experience for myself in understanding my feelings. And it's one of the reasons why I like streaming and talking random nonsense. Because sometimes that talking to myself helps me to further formulate how I feel about things. There's a martial arts thing where when you reach a certain level in martial arts, the only way for you to continue to improve is to start teaching what you know. And when you start having to explain things to people that you've known and practiced for a long time, you get into this thing called conscious competence, where you're actively trying to think about why you do things. And they'll ask you a question which will challenge the way that you thought about things, and you have to explain in a different way. So teaching deepens your understanding of the topic. Yeah, exactly. And so the reason I bring that up is one of the reasons I like streaming. People will ask questions, or I will just be sort of talking to myself and having to put my thoughts and experiences together to explain deepens my understanding of what I'm feeling or thinking. So I have this issue with board games, and I've talked about it a couple of times before. These are cool models. These are really, really cool models. And there is a part of me that thinks I should paint these cool models and do a really good job on them. And I feel that way about most of my board games. And therein is the crux of the problem. Because if I was to... Alexa, airbrush off. If I was to attempt to paint these figures across the board to the same level as I would like, then what ends up happening is I don't paint anything, and I play with unpainted figures. So I sort of just reach this point where I go, well, something that's painted is better than something that's not painted. So I'm just going to paint quickly. And have something be finished so that I can play with painted models. Across the board, yes. And with the amount of board games that I get through here, I mean, I've got one that I want to film on the channel called Black Rose Wars. And it's got about 100 models in there that I would need to paint before I can do that. So then I'm like, well, okay. What do? Do I Do I just not play with them painted, or do I just paint them quickly? And that's the end place I get to with this conversation with myself, which is you don't need them to be great, you just need them to be painted. So just whip on through and get them all painted. And so that's what I do. And then I say to myself, well, you know, just do a quick job. And here's an example. Just do a quick job. And then if you want to come back and paint further, you can. So if I decided, you know what, I really want to spend more time on these guys because of the way that I varnish them and stuff, I could just start working into this more and making it really awesome. But I don't think that I will. But I want to have that option. You know what I mean? I want to have the option to do that. Board games have gone astronomical. It used to be, a few years ago, there was a company called Cool Mini or Not who used to make board games, and everyone used to universally agree that Cool Mini or Not's board game models were the best in the industry. That is no longer the case. There are so many manufacturers now that have quality that rivals, and in some cases exceeds, Cool Mini or Not's products. Figure products, anyway. And that's great for miniature painters, but it's also awful for miniature painters for the exact reasons I've just been discussing. It's like, well, man, I really want to paint these guys because they're fucking sick. But painting them to the best possible standard is where we get into problems. Anyway, it's such an interesting decision I have to make with myself every time. So there's only one game that I've made the decision that I'm going to try and really do my best, and of course it's Kingdom Death. And even then, when I say my best, it's like the level that I paint Kingdom Death to is not my best painting, but it is certainly the highest level of board game figures that I paint. So I don't actually know what that little thing is that's connected to that. Is that a chain? I'm going to assume that's a chain. Okay. And then let's make that a little bit grey. Well, the very first figures I bought were Games Workshop Halberdiers. And there was this pack of 10, and Empire Halberdiers, and they held their shields, and they held their little halberds. And I loved them very dearly. And I wish that I had those models still lying around somewhere, because, yeah, they were wonderful. Just the nostalgia. The nostalgia. It was a wonderful time. Graphite, where's my graphite? It was a wonderful time when I was a young man playing these games. I feel like I've told this story a few times, but I'll tell it again anyway. There was this board game / miniature game shop that was about 10 minutes from my house. It was called Dragon's Keep, and doesn't exist anymore. Closed down quite a few years ago. But they used to sell Warhammer, and they had a Dungeons and Dragons arcade game in there. And so I would go in there as often as my mum would drive me down there, So sometimes she'd go to the shops and I'd be like, drop me off at Dragon's Keep. So she'd drop me off at Dragon's Keep while she did the shopping. So I would just hang out there and I would look at all the stuff, and in that shop was like a model train area. There was a Dungeons and Dragons area. There was a Dungeons and Dragons arcade game, and a little shelf for Games Workshop stuff. And there was a collection of painted armies in the cabinets. It's it's pretty awesome. Even I remember it being pretty awesome. And anyway, I got to know the guy who owned the place. He was an almost exact replica of the comic book guy from The Simpsons. He looked like him. He talked like him. He was a full nerd guy. Exactly what you'd expect to own a Games Workshop hobby store in the 90s. I can't remember his name. Nice guy. Anyway, so that Dungeons and Dragons arcade game, the first time I played it, I played the wizard, and it automatically generated a name. I didn't realise what was happening. I was just pressing buttons, and it automatically generated a name, and the name was SIOUS, which became my online handle and has been that for however long, 30 years, whatever it's been. So that's a great memory for starters. And then, cool, do a wash on that in a minute. And then I bought so many different things from there. I bought the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, so that's second edition for those that aren't familiar, which was a black book with red writing. I bought the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide from there. And I was the Dungeon Master, so I played tried to play a few campaigns with my friends. So that was great. I bought those from there. I bought the 4th edition Warhammer fantasy game, and I bought the 40k from there as well, the 40k box. So that's a long time ago. But yeah, the 4th edition fantasy was it 4th or 5th? It was Lizardmen vs. Bretonia. So I bought that box, and man, it was awesome. I had a full like Lizardman army. I bought a Stegodon, bought a Slan. So that was my that was the first army that I ever bought and painted, was a Lizardman army. And I actually fully painted it too, because there was a tournament that I played in with my friends where you needed to have fully painted army. So I fully painted my Lizardman army. And I bought the 40k box, which had Space Marines and I feel like it was Tyranids in that box. Maybe it was Orcs actually. Yeah, Space Marines versus Orcs that year. And I converted all the Space Marines to be Chaos Space Marines because I played Chaos Space Marines. And I remember those little troll dolls, with crazy hair? I cut up a troll doll and I gave all my Space Marines troll hair, and it was sick. It was awesome. So yeah, really nice time in my youth. But the game that really captured my imagination more than anything back then was Necromunda. So I remember the very first White Dwarf I purchased, was White Dwarf 198. And that was a cool issue. I read the shit out of it. But then I bought issue 199. And in issue 199 there was a battle report between Ratskins and Escher. And I don't know if anyone remembers the old Games Workshop battle reports back in the day in White Dwarf. They were fucking awesome. They were so good. You know, they just showcased the game in its best possible light, you know. Beautiful armies fighting over incredible scenery and, you know, cool super nerd guys talking about these battles. And that one had Necromunda terrain. Oh gosh, Necromunda terrain was the best. And the Necromunda campaign and stuff in that book. That was it. That was my favourite thing. I just used to read that. I think I read that battle report 100 times. It was so good. Got me very enthusiastic for Necromunda, and that is the game that drove my enthusiasm for this hobby the most around that time. And that resulted in, quite a few years later, when I had some disposable income as an adult, in me going around and buying all of the Necromunda figures that I could find. And it actually allowed me to buy pretty much every single Necromunda figure that was released during that period of Games Workshop time. And I fully painted them. And a few years later I was forced to sell them. I wasn't forced to, but I decided to sell them to fund a trip overseas to play at a Warhammer tournament. But I was able to sell them to one of my mates, Koki, who still to this day has them. And we've used them in a few Necromunda campaigns. What a wonderful experience for me to be able to paint Necromunda, collect all of the cool Necromunda models, and then still have access to it later. What a game. So yeah, Dragon's Keep ended up closing probably when I was about 19 or 20, I think. Which was a shame, but also it's a hobby store in this economy. Well, the economy back then made it pretty difficult. But yeah, it was just like a seminal memory, core memory of my childhood, going to that place. And I wish there was some way I could tell that guy what an experience, what a impact he had on my life. I don't know if that would make it feel worthwhile for him. You would have to imagine that the reason he closed is because they had no money left, so that's not something you wish on someone. But yeah, it is what it is. I had a group of friends that I used to play with back then, schoolmates. Unfortunately, I don't see them anymore or speak to them. Those people, which is a shame. I was quite close with them. Still friends on Facebook and still see occasional stuff that comes through from them, you know. But yeah, hard in this day and age to stay close to people that you haven't spoken to in a long time. I'm going to do something that I could have done ages ago and I haven't. And it will just make me feel a lot better. Transform, flip, horizontal. And that is now on the right side. Why didn't I do that like 12 months ago? Oh well. Decisions were made. So yeah, the next little while, urge is starting to rise for me to paint a little display piece. One of the ones that I was thinking about painting was actually a Kingdom Death booby sculpt. One that really excited me was a figure called Basara. It's a really cool figure. I might grab it out. I think I have access to it quite easily. But yeah, I've got quite a few display figures sitting over there to paint. So, trying to decide if that's the right one or if I should save that. I've got plans for a diorama, just a small one, which I might do, using the blacksmith figures. Blacksmith Jean-Baptiste Monge figures, like a Victorian era steampunk cityscape with some of these crazy little gnome guys, or whatever they are, gnomes, or I have no idea what you call them. They're cool figures. Maybe I'll grab them down and we can have a little discussion. Actually, I think I did that already. I think I drew a picture of my plan for them on stream, so maybe I won't. But yeah, that might be the next little project. I've planned out the next big diorama project. It is the Lost World, the Lizard Men, Paititi, the Lost World. So we're going to do a jungle. So I've done forest before, but I haven't done jungle, so it's going to require some different stuff. But I think what I'll be able to use is tropical plants from aquariums. I don't know what I've done there, but I've done something. I'll just remove that, shall I? Yes. Yeah, aquarium plants have a very tropical feel, generally. So my plan is to go to my local fish aquarium store. There is one. And look for a lot of aquarium plants, and then 3D print 3D print a old Lizardmen temple. I'm grabbing out the little guys. I got 3. I think I got 3. Maybe I have 4. There's a 4th one. This guy, cheese guy. Look at him holding his cheese with a little rat. How good. G'day, Faro Roach. I agree. Cheap, fucking sign it up. Yeah, he's sick. Look at him. He's just a little cheese guy. He's just walking down the street selling cheese to people. What a sick dude. And then this guy, he's lighting up the town. He's got his candle. Big old candle. What a sick guy. Key keeper. Awesome. And then little doggo and his mate, Crooks of London. That's the one. Sammy, how good is it? Look at his little fat face. What a little boy. I love him. I feel like I had 4 of them. Do I have another one? I'm gonna have a look, see if I've got more. I've got some cool stuff. No. I got some Black Crow miniatures, that'll be sick. I got the Oz diorama. Do I want to do Oz? Oh, this could be the ticket actually. You know, every time I'm feeling like I'm not in the mood for display painting, the solution is simple. Spira. Spira. Yeah, these are, yes, I got these 3. So I might do my diorama with these 3 little guys. It's not going to be a big one, you know. I'm just going to have it, you know, be sort of quite small. But it'll be nice to build some, you know, some Victorian era walls and stuff. Yeah, exactly. Just a little bunch of them together, and I want to do like some weird, crazy angles, you know, of castle walls and stuff. I think that'd be a really cool scene. But yeah, look at this. It's a Spira. He's got a candle on his head too. Candles. Where's the candle go? Does it go there? I think so. I have not. Yeah, this could be the ticket. Like Spira. How can you go wrong? This guy's got a bird on his head. I don't think I've ever noticed that in looking at this. There's a little owl there too. Oh my god, I love Spira. Hey, no, Mana Man. I've seen so many great versions of this, and it'd be great to think that I'm innovative and stuff, but I'm not. So the issue would be, do I do a version of this that is just the same? You know? But me painting it? Or do I try and come up with some cool theme? The best version of this, I don't know if anyone's seen this, but back in the day at Crimson Brush in 2023, we had a version of this that was used as a part of a diorama, and it was absolutely tremendous. I will find it now. We'll go and have a look at the Crimson Brush Facebook page. I'm going to do that on screen so you can see what's happening. Boop. There we go. This is the Crimson Brush Facebook page if you haven't seen it. This is 2025 stuff. Maybe there's a better way to do this, don't I? Maybe if you go to photos, albums, there we go. Geez, you're a fucking genius sometimes. Crimson Brush 2023. Is it here? I don't actually remember what year it was. I think it was this year. These are all of the albums for Crimson Brush entries. You can go and look at these at any time. Here it is. What a legend you are, Deno. What a great memory. Look at that. So that was our Crimson Brush winner for 2023. That won Best in Show. And it is a great use of different scales to tell a story. I really love it. So I don't know if the intent is she's thinking about her friends, the guys, or if, yeah, whatever it is, I don't really know, but I just think that's such a beautiful combination of those two things to tell a story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is great. Yeah, so for me, that's the one that jumps out when I think of this. That's my immediate thought, is this little collection there. That was done by Kyle Morgan. One of Australia's best painters. back in the early 2000s. Hello, Slangers. Hey, Slangers, would you be interested in doing a commission board game painting thing for me? How much would it cost? How much do you charge for a collection of board games figures? I was just talking about earlier how I'd like to get more board games figures painted, but I don't really have enough time. And I just remembered that you do paint board games figures and you're a nice guy. So let me give you some of my money. And everyone, Sleepy Slang does actually do commissions for toy soldier painting. So 5,000 yen, deal. I'm happy with that. Alexa, airbrush on. I'm not ready to make nice. Ghost skin. Interesting question. When you say ghost skin, do you mean like ethereal see-through skin? Or do you just mean ghostly skin? My solution to ghostly skin was always just paint glowy green. Good, send me a DM then, Pesto, with all of your details and how much, and I can work out how much I've got to spend and which board game I'll send you. I've got two that I'm tossing up. One is Black Rose Wars. The other one's Blood Rage. Blood Rage would be fun. What else? Don't really need Youthia painted. They're all got the wash. Don't really need Frosthaven. Frostpunk, no. Yeah, it's probably Black Rose Wars. Yeah, Black Rose Wars I think is about a hundo. You don't want to do that many. I understand. That's how I feel. No. For Black Rose Wars, there's the maximum number of the same figure you have is about 6, and I think there's only probably about 30 or 40 of those that are the same. The rest of it is all like unique wizards and stuff. Yeah, go look up Black Rose Wars. Sick game. Black Rose Wars Rebirth is the one you want to look up. That's the one I've got. Anyway, let's get back to talking about what I'm going to paint next for a display figure. I really like the process with dioramas. I really like the inception. I really like the construction. I really like the methodicalness that you need to exhibit. And so that's why I found myself doing these big dioramas. And I love it. I love the doing that whole stuff. It does have its downsides. Because I go through a phase where after I complete a diorama, I just say to myself, never again. I'm never doing that. It's too much. It's too much effort. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Just too much. And then a few months pass and I'm like, wow, I loved that. That was great. And yet most of you guys have been on here for a while now would have seen me talk about the mental load of doing the diorama and how much it takes out of me and all that sort of stuff. And I keep coming back, so I just love it. It's just that it's just when I ask myself why do I still do this hobby as a 42-year-old male? You know, why do I still come and paint little toy soldiers? And the answer is because little Deno, the guy who used to go look at all those toys at Dragon's Keep, used to love this stuff. But he never had the money, he never had the ability to actually do anything. And now I find myself with not unlimited money, but certainly more money than I had when I was 15. And less time than I had when I was 15. But more time, in a way. And yeah, I just think, well, why not? Why not do it? Why not spend your time doing something that you love? You know? The little version of you wishes they could do. And that's my guiding principle more than anything else. How would little Deno respond to this decision? Little Deno would say, do it, you fucking idiot. I think there's worse ways to approach this hobby. Goes to the skin as well. Not bad. So yes, people that don't follow my YouTube channel, I do have a YouTube channel. Go follow it. It's great if you like toys and board games. Or don't follow it. I don't really mind. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I played a lot of board games recently, which has taken up more time than my painting recently, which upsets most of the people that come on the channel, like Craigsog. He ditches me when I'm not painting toys. He's like, I got no time for you, Deno. You are a dickhead. Which is fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but you're wrong, Craigsog. Anyway, I've played a game recently called The Anarchy. And it is... G'day, Justin. It is one of my all-time surprises that I won, that I bought this game in the first place. G'day, Xtab. So, yeah, let me explain, and I'm sure this is going to be one of the worst explanations I've ever done. So when I first got into this game, I love fantasy, I love fantasy artwork, I love the aesthetic, I love stuff. And when I first started playing these hobbies, I was just super serious about, like, I want my toys to be, you know, like, really aesthetically in line with the background and the history of the game and stuff, and I don't want to play any rubbish that's not, you know, fully serious. And so that extended out into, like, types of games. Hey Alexa, airbrush off. So if a game had any elements of Alexa, airbrush off. Any elements that weren't serious, I wouldn't want to play it. I'd hate it. So there'd be games that my mates would be like, yeah, let's go play this. And I'd be like, that sounds very, very ridiculous. I don't want to play it. You know, I'm only about serious stuff. I only want to have, really deep and moody and dragons fighting wizards and blah, blah, blah. That's always the way I've been. I take the background and the history of stuff very seriously. So over the last few years, I've played games with my mates that don't fall into that thing. One comes to mind, which is called Dungeon Drop. So Dungeon Drop was this game that only takes like 15 minutes, and you play a little crack of it. There's little cubes that fall on it. You drop them. You drop them onto the table, and they represent little monsters, and you have to it's a stupid game. It's great. Yeah, it's great, right? So I played Dungeon Drop. I was like, oh, this is sick. See you, buddy. I should play more games like this. This is super fun. Anyway, so what ended up happening earlier in the year was I started playing a genre of game which I had for many, many years poo-pooed, which I said, this game is stupid. And that type of game is a type of game called a roll and write, or a flip and write, or an X and write is the terminology, right? And in this game, you gain some random generator that will generate something, and you then draw that something on a bit of paper. Sometimes you'll colour in circles, sometimes you'll have to draw little things. And so at the start of the year, if you had told me that my favourite genre of games of the year would be an X and write, I would have said, you are absolutely fucking cooked. There's no way that's going to be the case. And lo and behold, this year I've played about 7 or 8 different roll and writes, flip and writes. So the first one I played was one called Hadrian's Wall. And then I played Flip Town. I played Twilight Inscription. I played The Anarchy. I played Paper Dungeons. And these are all X and writes that I was like, I'll never play them. There's no way I'm ever going to play those games. Well, guess what? They're possibly my favourite game that I've played. So the reason I'm telling this long-winded story about X and writes is I played Hadrian's Wall at the start of the year, and Hadrian's Wall was on many people's top solo games list. It's a big box, yes. So okay, we'll talk later, slangers. So I played Hadrian's Wall, and I was like blown away at how engaging the gameplay was for what I thought was just going to be a really stupid little thing where you're colouring in circles. And yet it was actually really brilliant. So I played Hadrian's Wall, and I was like, I gotta get some more of these roll and writes. Maybe I was wrong about it. And so I got Twilight Inscription, which again was always going to be a hit for me because it uses the Twilight Imperium aesthetic and like kind of concepts and turns it into a roll and write, which I loved. And then Flip Town, which had like a Western theme. And so I've gone through all these games, and I'm like, hang on a second, like these are actually awesome. So the Anarchy came out. Now I'm gonna open up my YouTube channel and show you the Anarchy playthrough, what the thing looks like, because you look at it and you just go, there's no way, there's no way I'm playing that. There is absolutely no way So
I think we'll send down here.
have a gander at this. Look at this. Look at all the boxes you colour in. Oh my goodness, let's make it full screen. Look at that. What quality is this? Put it on 1080p, thank you. Look at all of the circles, and all you do is you just colour in little boxes. Look at that. And flip cards and colour in boxes. So if you had told me at the start of the year that a flip and right would be a contender for my game of the year, I would have laughed you off the street. And yet that is where I find myself right now, trying to think of a game that I've enjoyed more than that game right there, the Anarchy. That is a wild thing for me to comprehend. That my potential game of the year is going to be a flip and right. Let me explain. Actually, I'll explain. I'll bring it back up on the screen. I'll explain. So, the top left is a little castle that we're building as the game progresses. So that's my castle that I'm trying to defend from attack, and it's set in a time period like a ancient time period called the Anarchy, surprisingly, which has to do with like Empress Matilda, who was the daughter of the king who died. She was like, I'm going to be crowned the Queen of England, and then actually the king's nephew, his name was Stephen, got all his mates together and got crowned king, kind of behind Matilda's back. And then it started a period of about, I don't know, 12 or 15 years or something that had a civil war where those two were attacking each other. And that time period is called the Anarchy. So that's where the game's set. So you are playing a noble who's loyal to King Stephen, and you have your castle that is being attacked by Empress Matilda's troops, and then you also have to go out and try and take her castle. So the top row is the castles that you can send your army out to attack. The top left is my castle that I have to build up the walls to defend it from attack. On the left-hand side is the actual attacks that are going to come in from their forces. And in the middle is all of the things that you colour in via gaining resources. So at the start of each turn, you generate resources, which are like workers, which we have on the left, but you can also generate food and wood and silver, and you spend those resources to allow you to colour in the circles or the tracks. And when you colour in the tracks, it either gets you more resources, or it moves you up on a victory points track, or it lets you build castle walls, or it lets you research technology. It's fucking unreal. It's so unreal. And yeah, like all I do is just, oh, I'm going to spend this worker to colour in this circle. And then, yeah, look at this. Okay. And I'm going to host a tournament. Yeah. So my guy jousts against another guy. Yes, I successfully win the tournament. And that gets me more resources and a knight. And I'm going to send my knight out to attack this castle. And that's going to get me this. And then I'm going to build my walls. And I'm going to build a gatehouse. And then I'm going to dig a moat. I'm going to send some troops out to dig a moat. And then I'm going to make a mint so that we can mint our own silver. So next turn I get more silver. It is one of the most engaging and enjoyable games that I've played this year. It is crazy to me that is where I find myself. Absolutely crazy. That an X and right is going to be a legitimate contender for my game of the year. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So anyway, there's a lot of wonderful games out in the world, friends. And even if you are like me and are very serious about serious squirrel business and how serious your games are, don't write off trying different things, because you just never know. You never know how much you might like it. And that is certainly the case for me and the Anarchy. it is very much a tower defense game, and being able to protect your walls. Yeah, that's a good description actually. Tower defense. Baby, don't waste your time on me. Alright, I reckon we're probably about done with these guys. Let's actually make this guy's tongue this weird purpley colour. Done. Alright, well that's 2 little guys done. Plus this little guy can count as done now. So that leaves me with, from the core box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 models to go. Any other genres I'm prejudiced about? Yes. I have a secret love of like storybook, fairy tale genre. Like I really love that. So I bought a game recently on Kickstarter called Storybook Saga, which takes like Winnie the Pooh and all these guys, and you have like a little fight with Winnie the Pooh and stuff. You know, like Peter Pan and those. I love fairy tales. I love that stuff. So I really like that genre. Obviously love sci-fi, fantasy. I don't really like crime, true crime, or generally I don't really enjoy those sorts of things. And that's probably pretty easy to explain. I don't like the fact that that actually happens in our world, that people can hurt other people. I find that really upsetting and confronting and challenging to think about. So I just don't watch it. And in terms of board games, I mean, I like worker placement games. I've expanded my borders a lot, expanded my perspectives a lot when it comes to little toy soldiers and board games and stuff. I've got these models up here, by the way. I've got to send these off. So let's have a look at these little guys. These are going off to their new home very shortly. Just got to put them in a container, send them on their way. Did that one mostly on camera, I think. This one did this one on camera. She's actually quite good, you know. I don't really remember painting her, but there you go. Pretty happy with it. This guy did well in the QMHE, the little Gaul. He's quite cool. Did a nice shield. This guy's actually really good, actually. Probably the thing that lets this piece down, if I was to look back on it and reflect now, because there's not much, right? Everything about this is really, really good, I think. Like the skin's great, the non-metallic metal's interesting, the patterning on the shield there is very good and quite like cleverly drawn. The thing that lets this down is the water. And it's not because the water looks bad, but I feel like the aesthetic that we have here is very warm tones, you know, warm green, warm red, warm orange, warm cream thing here. And then bang, we've got this fucking blue that is just very, very different colour. So when I look at this figure, I go, yep, I don't actually like this because of the water. So if I could go back and change this, I would add green grass, and I would airbrush the green grass to be like warm browns, and I reckon that would make this piece actually very, very good. I think that would turn the piece into one of my best pieces. But there you go. And then the last one, which I think is my best piece. Look at this guy. Look at him. Love a Spira. Love a Spira. Look at this little dickhead. No, this is great. Someone asked me when I was down at Guild's Inn, why didn't you do the shield? And the answer is, I like the shield. I like the shield a lot. And I intended on doing the shield, but then I painted this bit, and I just love how this little bit looks. I love the straps. I love this. Is this my best ever? I don't think so. I think this is probably my best one this year, though. Maybe. I don't know. I'd struggle to name my best ever piece, probably. What would I say is my best ever? Probably the thing that won me a silver at Monty, which was my... I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up, and we can have a look, and you can tell me if you agree. This is my best ever, I think. So I sculpted those eyes because the thing has hollow eyes, and I really struggle with that. She got freckles. I think I did a really good job on the metals, the non-metallic metals on the steel, and I think the demon's really, really cool. I think the chick is the weakest part by a long way. She looks like Taylor Swift, really. Yeah, see, look at that the glow on the metal there. That's the best thing I've ever done. I spent a lot of time, and the glow up here. I spent a lot of time on that. Like, I think that, and that's that's the thing that stops me from being great these days, is I don't spend enough time. It was a cool base as well. The actual initial concept for this came from that piece of wood, would you believe? So I got the plinth from a dude who doesn't make plinths anymore. But it was just really interesting. I was like, oh, I wonder how I could integrate two figures together on that, two busts together on that. And so I did. So yeah, that's the best thing I've ever painted, I think. Alright, well, I'm off now. I've got a big day ahead. Mossy and I got to go to the gym. We've got to clean the pool area. Got to do all these other things. But yeah, back tomorrow night, and we'll probably try and do these two guys, I reckon. Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't undercoat more guys. I didn't realise I was going to do them as quickly as I did, so... yeah, so I want to finish painting Kingdoms Forlorn, so we'll do that. And yeah, look at this. He's a king. He's like, what's that fucker from Lord of the Rings? He's like Theoden. He's being controlled, manipulated by this thing. He's called the Puppet King. So the hand is like manipulating him. He's like a marionette on this throne. It's sick, right? It's a sick fucking concept. I don't know how it plays in the game. I'd like to get to that point and play it, because I think if it's half as cool as the model, it'll be sick. And this is a cool little Aztec Medusa demon head guy. I like him. I think these two are demons in the game. You got the sword Anduril, Flame of the West. How good is that? Forged from the shards of Narsil. Anduril, Flame of the West. There may come a day when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day. Aragorn, what a fucking legend. I've actually got this chick, I suppose I could do a little bit on her. This day, we fight! I love it. There's only one speech that tops that, and that is Theoden, King of Rohan, as he stands on the Pelennor fields. About to lead the forces of Rohan to the defence of Minas Tirith. A sword day, a red day, ere the sun rises. I'll give myself goosebumps just thinking about it. Swords will be shaken. Oh yeah, easily in the hundreds for me. Easily. It is fascinating to me that we can go back to a film series that was made in the 1990s. You know, the 1990s, whenever it was, that we can go back and watch that now, on this day, and it is still, correct me if I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong, it is still one of the greatest things ever put on film. The quality of the CGI and the effects in that series has not been matched. Has not been matched since then. I cannot think of a show that matches the quality, the realness of The Lord of the Rings. And I read a quote the other day which I think is absolutely spot on. One of the other reasons why it still holds up to this day is because of the fact that it's absolutely genuine. You know, there's no silly Marvel quips. You know, there's no people being silly throughout it. It was made way before Marvel was popular. You know, it's just genuinely people caring about each other and all this sort of stuff. It's so good. I haven't watched the TV show, no. I watched the first episode and I thought, okay, it's fine. But it doesn't make me think it's Lord of the Rings. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is wonderful. I watched Star Wars so much when I was a young tacker. I used to go to my local library, and I used to hire out two things. I used to hire out three things. I used to hire out Willow, the movie Willow. I used to hire out Indiana Jones, the trilogy, and I used to hire out Star Wars trilogy. My local library had those available to hire. So every time I'd go down to the library, I used to ride my bike down there. This is when I was like 11 or something. It's right near my house. And I would, I'd go to the video section and I'd find whichever one of those was available, and I'd go and rent it. And yeah, as good as Star Wars is and was back then, when The Lord of the Rings came out, in my opinion, it has taken the title of the number one trilogy ever made. And Stephen Colbert made a video about that. Number one trilogy. Lord of the Rings is the number one trilogy. It actually is, I think. I actually think it is the number one trilogy. Because of the care, because of the amount of time that they spent in making it as good as it is, because of the casting, because of the respect to the source material. It wasn't perfect. You know, it wasn't a perfect replica of the source material. But it was good. It paid homage. It redefined special effects in that era. I mean, they come up with the technology to CGI lots and lots of random little dudes and have them act sort of independently. A massive engine, I think it was called. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but the books are rubbish. The books are awful. I've read them. I don't enjoy them. There's parts of them I enjoy, but it's just, you know, all this verbosity, which I don't really enjoy that much. But then you have what they created from. Yeah, to tell you the other thing that makes me love them even more is the fucking appendices. Back when the films came out, they did this extended DVD release, which is all 6 discs or whatever it is of the extended edition, and it's got the appendices, which shows like fucking 30 hours of making these movies. And for us little nerd dudes that are making little toys all the time, there's like a fucking 2 hours of people making miniatures. What? That's fucking sick. It's absolutely legitimately awesome. Lord of the Rings is the number one trilogy. So yeah, I will die on that hill that Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy. And I think it is because of how genuine it is. I will say this though. No, Feist Magician series is great. I was actually thinking the other day, I'm going to reread the second series in that, which had, what's his name, Eric von Darkmoor and his little mate Rupert Avery. Because I remember that one's my favourite one. I can't remember the series, it's 4 books. Second one's called Merchant Prince. I can't remember the other ones, but I want to reread them. Really great. How much have you spent on swords? Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, so I'll say this. I think Return of the King is the weakest of the films. I think it won Oscars and stuff, was nominated for and won more Oscars, but I think that was a reflection of the overall series and how good the quality of the whole series was. I think that was an acknowledgement that, yep, the whole thing was incredible. But I do think Return of the King is the weakest. I think it's marginally too long. I think it has too many endings, and I think it's it's hard to condense the story and have a great finish, but it was okay. Elements of it were incredible, but I think on the whole it's the weakest. Fellowship is a great story. The Two Towers, as as per every middle part of a trilogy, is the best one. Just great. Yeah. Willow, I reckon I watched it 100 times when I was a kid. I had a Willow colouring book. I had a colouring book for Willow that my mum got me. Mad Mardigan, one of my favourite literary characters of all time. And I unabashedly loved the new Willow series. Like, I thought it was great. People hated it. I thought it was awesome. I watched every episode the day it came out, and I was enthusiastic, and I loved it. Like, it's just become cool to hate things. It's too easy to hate things now. We don't care. We don't love things enough. Anyway, what a great way to finish talking about how good Willow was. Okay, so I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 models left to go. These are finished enough for me for this game. I don't even know what these chicks do in the game. I think they're princesses. I don't know what they do. It is so. I've got a wonderful friend who I love dearly. His name's Darren. I play games with him every Tuesday night. I talk about him all the time on the stream. Wonderful man. But he and I are diametrically opposed when it comes to media consumption. He'll watch something and he'll go, I fucking hated it. They did this and they did this and they ruined it. And I will go, I fucking loved it. It was the best. Why do you think that? And then we'll usually both acknowledge, yeah, no, you're right, that bit was shitty. Or he'll go, yeah, that was pretty awesome. And we've usually, but there's just, I don't know, there's so much available. And it's particularly in fandom, right? I think fandom, it's because the expectation, people go into things with an expectation that it's going to live up to what they perceive it to be, what their perfect version of that thing is in the world, And because everyone's different and everyone values different things, and so no piece of content will ever resonate exactly the same way for every single person. It's impossible. But because we have these expectations that we put on things ourselves, when those expectations aren't met, we're disappointed. And absolutely, when you have so many there's so many people and opinions available at the drop of a hat. You can have a preconceived perspective before you've even given a thing a go. So yeah, I'm obviously not perfect. But I try to go into things with the perspective of, I will see how this goes. I will enjoy this for what it is. And some of the Marvel TV shows have been fine. Some of them have been really good. Some have been bad. But I've enjoyed them for the most part. Oh yeah, Andor. Andor is the best. Oh shit. Darren, the other day, he got angry at me because I kept telling him to watch Andor. He's like, can you fucking shut up about Andor? And I sent him a meme. I sent him a meme about Andor. Fucking hell. Where's that meme that I said? I gotta find it. It's classic. Hey, let me start it again. Andor. To like Star Wars. Andor. It's great. It's a really good show. Watch it. You should watch Andor. It is actually excellent. I loved it. Andor was probably the best show this year that I've watched. Anyway, look, we're talking about media now, and I love media. I love the fact that it generates discussion. You know, being able to talk to your mates about it. But the reality is that we don't appreciate enough is we live in a golden era of literally everything. We live in a golden era of film, of television, of gaming, of board gaming, of miniatures, of life. And we should acknowledge that more. We are the most fortunate generation that has ever existed in the history of the world when it comes to literally everything. And yet, depression and anxiety is up. You know, mental health is a real challenge. And there's reasons for that, right? I acknowledge that the pace of the world, you know, everything is more intense, more pressure. But yeah, every day I just try to think to myself, how fortunate am I? How fortunate am I to be living right now? And to be able to have seen the Lord of the Rings films in my younger days, and yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. It's been a wonderful day. Thank you, all of you people, for chatting about life and the universe and watching me paint some toys. I am going to come back tomorrow. I am going to keep painting Kingdoms Forlorn figures because that is what I want to do to get this stuff out of the way. Maybe we'll paint the big toad guy. Maybe we'll do this guy. Blah, 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 blah. He's cool as, man. Hollow base. Cost saving. I can't imagine that the amount of stuff that they would have needed to put in there would have been that much more. I wonder if they... Yeah, look at that. I reckon they must have glued that in afterwards. Interesting. Yeah, how good is he? He's a sick model. This is what I was saying before. If I had unlimited time, I would paint these models and absolutely love them and have a great time because they're awesome. Look at this guy. He's awesome. He's like a snake guy. What a legend. I don't have unlimited time. Even this guy, Egg Knight. Check out the Egg Knight. Blub, 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 blub. Egg Knight, Egg Knight. Unlimited time, I would paint these to the best of my ability. I don't have unlimited time. I have lots of games to play. I have lots of figures to paint. So I have to prioritise my time where it gets me the most value of enjoyment. And I would much rather paint a display figure to the best of my ability, or to close to the best of my ability, and play games, than spend my time painting figures for a board game and not playing. It's a tough choice. What a tough world. Okay, let's head off. I'll be back tomorrow night, finishing off some more Kingdoms Forlorn, and then I reckon we'll get into this diorama of these little chumps, or maybe the 7 dwarves. We'll see. Thank you all, friends. Have a wonderful week.